This video is intended to provide you with information regarding military service buyback or military deposits and the steps for completing and submitting your application package to the Air Force Personnel Center Benefits and Entitlements Service Team, also referred to as BEST. As a civilian employee covered under the Federal Employees Retirement System, or FERS, you may be eligible to receive credit for your active duty military service toward your retirement service computation date, which will increase your years of civilian service and civilian retirement annuity. In addition to increasing your civilian annuity, purchasing your military service can also provide you the time needed to meet the years of service required to be eligible for retirement. However, you must have at least 5 years of creditable civilian service in addition to your military service. There are 2 categories of active duty military service: active duty performed prior to civilian employment and active duty performed during civilian employment. Active duty performed during civilian employment is protected under the Uniform Service Employment and Reemployment Rights Act and is referred to as USERRA service. To receive credit for any military service, to include the period of non-pay service, you must make a military deposit. Otherwise, the service is non-creditable toward retirement. If you are in receipt of military retired pay, you can choose to make a military deposit and receive credit for your military time towards your civilian retirement. If you choose to do so, you will continue to receive your military retirement pay until you retire from federal civilian service. However, the military retirement pay must be waived when you retire from your civilian position unless the military retirement is awarded based on account of a service-connected disability either incurred in a combat with an enemy of the United States or caused by an instrumentality of war and incurred during the line of duty during a period of war, or under the provisions of Chapter 1223, Title 10, United States Code, which is a military retirement from a reserve component of the armed forces. If you choose not to make a military deposit, you will receive both your military and civilian annuities separately in retirement. Now that we have explained what the military deposit is, visualizing how you can benefit from this is just as important in making your decision. To better understand, the basic FERS retirement annuity is computed by taking 1% of your high 3 average salary times your years of service. For example, John Smith's military deposit for 3 years of active duty will cost him $2,500. The below examples will show that his retirement annuity will be after completing 30 years of federal civilian service and having a high 3 of $100,000. If he does not make a military deposit, his monthly retirement annuity will be $2,500. However, if he makes his military deposit, his monthly retirement annuity will be $2,750. Within his first year of retirement, John Smith will have been paid more in retirement than what his military deposit cost him. Please note, this is only an example and each employee's scenario will vary. Military deposits cost 3% of your military earnings plus any accrued interest. The cost of the military deposit for service performed under USERRA is 3% of their active duty pay or equal to the amount of contributions they would have made had they not been on active duty, whichever is lesser. Employees have a 2-year grace period before interest starts to accrue. After the grace period, interest is charged each year on your interest accrual date, or IAD, and is compounded annually. If the deposit is paid in full by the end of the first year following your grace period, you will not have to pay interest for that year, providing you 3 years interest-free to pay your deposit in full. In other words, the sooner you pay your military deposit, the better. There are various steps to the military deposit process. The very first step is to obtain your estimated earnings statement from DFAS. Please reference the DFAS Military Deposit website for appropriate guidance. Once you have received your estimated earnings, you will need to submit your request to BEST via MyFSS. Your request must include the Standard Form 3108, Application to Make Service Credit Payment, Standard Form 3108A, application to pay military deposit for military service, your estimated earnings, and supporting military service documentation. BEST processes requests first in, first out, and processing times vary based on workload. However, BEST will verify your documentation, determine your interest accrual date, and submit the military deposit application package to DFAS for further processing. DFAS will determine the deposit amount and notify you in writing. If you are going to make a military deposit, it is important that you do so as soon as possible. The military deposit process can take anywhere from 10 to 12 months. Do not wait until applying for retirement to request a military deposit. Making a military deposit is a personal decision, and you are not required to make the military deposit once your application has been processed. However, you will not receive credit for your military service without the deposit being paid in full. There are various forms of supporting military documentation, which include but are not limited to the DD-214, military orders in conjunction with a statement of service, or a statement of service. Supporting documentation must clearly identify the character of service, lost time, rank, type, or title of service, and beginning and end dates. Not all service documentation is acceptable, and it is encouraged to review the DFAS Military Service Deposit website for a list of acceptable documents. As previously noted, your first step is to obtain your estimated earnings from DFAS. DFAS provides an official and unofficial estimated earnings. The official estimated earnings can take 60 business days for DFAS to complete and provide to you. When completing the application to make service credit payment, Standard Form 3108, BEST has made it easier for you by providing the form on MyFSS in the Credible Military Service and Post-56 Military Service Deposits Knowledge article at the link on the slide, and by highlighting the areas you must complete on the form. By completing and submitting the form, you will expedite the processing time. Ensure the Standard Form 3108 and the Standard Form 3108A are completed in their entirety and sign both documents. There are various ways to make your military deposit. You can make payments directed to DFAS by check, money order, or online via pay.gov. Or you may choose to have payments deducted through payroll from your biweekly paycheck. If you choose to have payments deducted from your pay, the minimum amount you can have per paycheck is $25. Making payments and reducing the amount owed does not prevent interest from accruing. Interest will continue to accrue each year until your deposit is paid in full. Block 20 of your leave and earnings statement will reflect the amount paid and the amount owed. Once you have completed any active military deposits, the amount owed will have no balance. You can pay your military deposit at any time throughout your federal employment. However, to receive credit toward retirement, your deposit must be paid prior to separation or retirement. For your deposit to be considered paid in full, the Defense Finance and Accounting Service, or DFAS, must have processed the deposit and identified it as being completed. If DFAS has not completed processing and identified your deposit was completed prior to separation, your deposit will be refunded to you and no credit will be received. Once you have completed your military deposit, DFAS will provide you with a paid-in-full letter via MyPay, which is available for at least 1 year. Once you obtain your paid-in-full letter, review the dates of service are accurate and match your supporting documentation. After verifying your paid-in-full letter is accurate, you will need to submit it via MyFSS to be profiled in your electronic official personnel folder. The Benefits and Entitlements Service Team empowers you with many resources to access and obtain information and further educate yourself and maximize your benefits via MyFSS and the Civilian Benefits and Retirement homepage. MyFSS is the employee portal, which is where you can review various knowledge articles, obtain additional tools and guidance, and submit inquiries and requests for your benefits. Additionally, BEST uses MyFSS as their primary communication tool between their office and you. To ensure you are receiving communications and are able to access any cases you may have, Log in and activate your account as soon as possible. If after reviewing the appropriate knowledge articles you have additional questions, you may submit an inquiry through MyFSS and a benefits counselor will contact you. If for some reason you are unable to access MyFSS to submit your inquiry, you may contact the Total Force Service Center at 1-800-525-0102, Option 3 for civilian, then Option 2 for retirement, or Option 3 for benefits, and a case will be opened on your behalf. This concludes the military deposit presentation, and we hope you find the information helpful.